And now, among the many jobs where people complain about some poor working conditions, we take two to look at them in this news video. Let's address some of the problems that some journalists face, as well as some security personnel. Now, we are looking at those type of journalists that go outside there, to make videos and interviews, and to stay on scenes that are sparking with news bothering the nation. And then also we look at the security personnel who have been employed to always be at the gates of certain facilities and to keep moving about, keeping sure that everything is safe and nice the way the managers want them to be. We chose these two because among the many that were listed up for very problematic jobs for some people, these two were like very had a lot of people influxed inside. We were surprised to find out that even with the security personnel, sometimes you see some girls who don't look strong in any way. They are just lanky and we are not saying this to insult them, by the way, but when you say a security job, you expect to see somebody who is at least well built or has some rigid, fierce countenance. But nowadays, we go and we see some fine small girls in security clothing that they are security personnel, and we are like, what? Who are you going to scare with this beautiful face? So that is it. The main reason what by our analysis, the main reason why it is so is because people are rushing for jobs. There are some people who need to make ends meet. There are some people who need money badly, so they don't care the minimum wage that is put out, as long as the managers put it out there for them. So you see that even though they don't really fit the job description, because they'll be able to get some peanuts from it, they enter into the job. The same also applies to some journalists, not all. Some you notice that there are some who want to be a little independent, and there are those who are not really independent. But then some of these people want things to move in their way, so they risk their lives to enter into journalism. And journalism is not really risky, but it's when you cover some dangerous stories, things to do with kidnapping and the like. That's when it can sometimes get messy. If you sometimes look at even the political scenes, you'll notice that sometimes it gets very messy. So these two had this in common, the fact that it was not really their description, but it posed a risk to them, and yet they were going into it and they were facing problems. So like the security like this, you see some smallish or slim looking boy who is claiming to be a security personnel in a mart or a shop, or even sometimes some financial institutions, and we are very surprised. Now from what we see, these managers are trying to cut down on cost. So instead of employing those who are very well built and will be able to do the job but may demand more, they decide to give it to the small ones, the little ones who would receive whatever minimum wage they put out for them. Now there was a statement that we saw in one of these news agencies, which said these particular people also are listed among those people who suffer mental health due to poor working conditions. And when we looked in the list, we saw some journalists, and we also saw some security personnel. So we decided to go with this. Now, per what we found out, many of the practitioners in these two fields have been suffering from this emotional stress and very poor mental state because of the nature of the work and the poor conditions of the services that they encounter in their workplaces. Now, when we looked into some studies that were conducted, the psychological well-being of these personnel was low. It was very low because it's, let's be honest, their spirits have been broken. When we say their spirits have been broken, when you go through something that's so painful and something that doesn't look like you ever get hope. Yeah. Now, before we continue, please we want you to get this very clear. We are not saying that journalism or security jobs are not good jobs, neither are we saying that there are problems with them, but we've just taken these two out of those which many people have been complaining about issues in their workplaces, um, about them. And so we chose these two because they were among the ones that many people are common to go with. Like right now, if you want to do a security job, they don't ask you for a degree or those things. It's not like you are going to ask the arm robber some, some wassy questions. So or you are not going to ask somebody who's going to disturb at that place where you are going to be posted as a security officer some of these um, you know, educational questions or stuff. Well, what I'm just trying to say is, you don't really need a degree for a security job. So, because of this, there's a little flexibility for those who really need jobs, and they join it, and then they go do these jobs. Good. Now, when you look at these two jobs, there's supposed to be actually easiness in them, but from what people have termed, they meet something different from what they hope to see, and they face emotional stress and grievances. For example, when they see the poster outside that says security job 500 or 800 or 1,000 or maybe 400, whatever, and they see that amount of money, they don't really assess certain things like the transport cost and how close they are to the workplace. They also don't assess the time they'll close and the time they'll get to see to themselves, to even get home to be relaxed properly and come back the next day. They also don't assess the ease of mobility and also the off days. So by the time they really put themselves into this thing, waiting to get some money, they'll be drained out. It's like there's no more energy in them by the first 2 weeks alone. One time we entered some it was a financial institution. Jiko, do you remember that one? Yeah. There was a financial institution, right? Good. And then when we entered this financial institution, there was this girl at the security door, and she was dressed as a security personnel. Now we tried greeting this girl, and we thought she didn't mind us, or she wasn't happy with our entering of the place. So we just decided to, ignore her and go ahead to do what we were doing. When we were coming back, and then we were trying to open the door, then she quickly opened the door and looked at us and asked us, "What time did we even enter the place?" So the two of us looked at each other and were like, "What? That means all along this girl was asleep. You were right in front here when we opened the door and entered. We even greeted you and you didn't respond. So we saw your eyes a little open. We thought maybe you were looking down or something, not knowing this girl was asleep." Later, my friend decided to go do some inquiry about why it was so that the girl didn't see us. Like, what is it? What's the problem? There's something wrong with her eyes or what? And then later, after certain investigations were done, we found out that the girl was just so tired. Because look, she has to be present at work. She just wears her clothes and stands there like. Honestly speaking, even if a mouse enters the financial institution and attacks, the girl will not be able to do anything. I'm talking about a mouse, not even a human being. A mouse, even lizard, anything, kitre. She will not be able to do any defensive work that her job has given her to do. And so we realized that there was just so much strain on them. And though the strain, some people can bear it, the problem comes at the end of the month. When you receive the pay, you realize that, hey, all these monies I've even spent alone, it is almost the same as this money I am receiving. So why then am I even here? You get it? And then there are those situations which are even worse. There are some people who are not even paid. Look, this is real talk. There are some people who are not being paid at all. When the end of the month comes, they'll give them some flimsy excuse, and sometimes they'll give them part payments just to make them hopeful that it will come to them. They'll continue to toss them till a long time, and sometimes when they give up, they get out of the jobs. And because they don't have that time and energy and the resources to go after maybe a lawyer to take the case to court. They drop it, and moreover, the amount will not be even worth fighting for when you think of how much you need to hire a lawyer and all those things. So people are really like going through stressful situations. It's sad. We don't know if this applies to most places, but for those places that we went to, this was what we saw, because these people have now seen that the profession they joined is different from what they actually hoped to get. Sometimes you would notice that they're having poor like management in those structures. It's like anybody's just moving anywhere anyhow. There's no coordination, there's no arrangement, there's no ordinance. There's just this disorganization when you get into such places. So even someone who is a little smart will know that the way this place is set up, if I come and work here, I don't think I'll be very happy here. But because of the stress of getting money as soon as possible to suit whatever need it is, they make the unfortunate choice of getting into it. And then we look at journalists also. There are some journalists who, and for this journalist, we are talking about those who go into serious news items. They go to cover some dangerous attack somewhere, or some natural disaster, something. And then we realize that some of them risk their lives, put themselves on the line. We are not even talking about the independent ones. We're talking about those who have joined some news stations and have become part of some of these big news corporations. And we found out that some of them are not being treated fairly at all. When you see how they stress themselves to go and cover some news, and then they come back, and then at the end of the month they don't receive nothing, it's painful. Look, we had an experience of, I don't know if you people remember the fire explosion which occurred at a certain gas station at Atomic Junction. And then also it got into a filling station which was near the gas station, and then it blew up the whole place, and yeah, a lot of things turned sour. There was this lady of a very popular news channel, very popular this thing, which disclosed to us her pain. When she went to cover this thing, she was a little affected by the heat. She showed us those proofs of it. When she came back after covering that story, she told us that for the first 2 weeks, she just couldn't breathe properly. There was just this, anytime she enters a room, it's like there's no air. But when she comes out, it's a little better. So she realized that the place she went to, it affected her. Now, you would think that such a person would be awarded for covering such a dangerous thing. When the time came for her to be paid, she was told, oh, there was nothing special about what she's done, and they were giving her excuses. They gave her something small, and they told her to come later on. And they've been tossing this girl so much that she had to leave the place. And we were surprised when we saw that it was this particular very popular news station that she was a part of, that this happened at. So many people go through a lot of things, and then there are those journalists who also like you saw earlier this year, there were some journalists who were very much manhandled and abused. Some were slapped, some were seized, because they went to capture some news at some facilities and institutions who were going doing things contrary to the law. And the owners of those institutions got some men to get these journalists, seize their mobile phones, their devices, give them some very adequate hefty slaps. The type of slap that when they slap you, just rewind into the past, and then you remember your early days. Those type of slaps that when they slap you, just remember that early morning Hausa Coco. Yeah, they gave them a lot of those slaps, and all of these things went on, and these people were suffering. So imagine such a person going through this just because of some news you have to capture for your station to make money. These are a lot of problems that are facing people. We'll see if we can do a part 2 of this series, because it's serious. We don't want to talk too much, but it's very serious. There are things that are really deep, and until you are given a chance to look into it, you will not even believe some of the things you hear. But long and short of story, people are risking their lives and are not getting what they are worth to be paid for. So that is it. Maybe you would get another 2 extra jobs to come and describe for you to see. Thank you for listening. Please do leave your comments in the section below, and have a nice day.